I've seen so many students trying to study for longer hours without sleeping, and for some in the case to achieve this, they have adopted so many artificial methods which could also be addictive and affect their health in the long run. And for some, they have even tried caffeinated products and some other products, but it doesn't just work for them. So they have concluded in their mind that studying for long hours or just study is not just for them. But in this video, I'll share the most effective method and also natural method that you can use to study for longer hours without sleeping. These methods are also scientifically proven. One of the most important factors that you must consider if you desire to study for longer hours without sleeping is your study location or your study environment. You need to know the perfect study location that when you use it, you don't really feel sleepy as much. Is it your room, or is it your class, or is it the school library? Which one works best for you that when you use it, you don't really feel sleepy? Just the fact that you don't know about this or lack of clarity about this could cause you lots of pain as a student. In fact, while I was a student at OAU, it really caused me lots of pain. I will share an experience that I had in school. Before I resumed school, using the school library was one of the dreams I had, and I thought that this is the perfect location for serious students. And because I've seen so many serious students use the school library, so I resolved in my heart that I would be using the school library for study. And another factor that contributed to it is that the school library was very big and the environment was very quiet, so I decided to be using the school library for my study. So in my first semester that I was using the school library, it didn't really pay me much, because whenever I use the school library, I sleep more than I study. So I was even thinking that the problem was from me initially. So I will go to the school library, and my plan was maybe to study for 6 hours straight or 5 hours straight, but at the end of the day I'll find out that maybe I only study for like 30 minutes, because even though I use the school library, most times the environment is very soporific and it is just a cue for sleep for me. It's just very quiet and you could easily doze off if you are not careful. So what happened then was that I came to the school library as usual to study, and I came around 4 p.m. to study. The school librarians usually lock the library around 9 p.m. so I came by 4 p.m. hoping to just study through the night and then go back to my hostel around 9 p.m. So I was there studying, and I just studied for like 30 minutes. I just said to myself, maybe let me just crash and doze for just 5 minutes so that I can continue studying. So before you know it, 5 minutes turned to 2 hours, 2 hours turned to 3 hours, and this is how it continued till it was around 9 p.m. But when I woke up, I found out that the school librarians were already trying to lock the library because they've already sounded the alarm. I did not wake up, but when I woke up and I was rushing to go and leave the school library, I found out that they have almost locked the library. I was now knocking because the school library was very big that the librarians might not even notice that someone is still inside there. So that was what happened to me that day, and I just resolved in my heart never to use the school library again for study. I don't know, maybe it works for you. If the school library works for you, that whenever you are there you are more active, I will also advise that you just stick to the school library. Use it if it works for you. If the school library doesn't work for you, check another location. Maybe your classes might work for you. For me, I don't even like using the class. I only love using my room for study. Like, it's the perfect place for study for me. I can study for long hours without sleeping in my room. So when I am talking about my room, I'm not talking about the bed. The bed is not the place for study for you. If you are lying down on your bed to study, you will easily doze off. Whenever you lie on your bed, your brain thinks that you are now preparing yourself for sleep. That is why you easily doze off when you lie on your bed. So use this as a lesson. Never use your bed to study. Secondly, you need to know the time that is most productive for you, or the time that you are most active to study and assimilate. Is it in the morning, is it in the afternoon, or is it in the night? Just because your friends are studying in the night or that they love studying in the night, it doesn't mean that you should also start studying in the night. I have seen many students going for night classes. In fact, in my first semester at University, I always go for night classes because my friends always go there. And the worst of it is that at the end of the day, I might not really understand what I read, and some others might understand what they read, but for me, I wasn't getting it. But because I've had this mentality that people that go for night classes or people that study late in the night are the most serious and most successful students, but it doesn't really work for me. Like going for night classes doesn't work for me, although I can also study in the night in my room, but going for night classes doesn't work for me. So if it doesn't work for you, stop using it. I've seen many students complaining to me that they study more in the day, they are more active and they assimilate more in the day than in the midnight. I'll be like, why are you trying to stress yourself in the midnight? Why not stick to the most productive hours that you have already been using? Just stick to it. Anybody that is telling you that if you don't study in the night it makes you not a serious student, the person is lying, because personally I've seen and I know many serious students in my class that are high flyers, that they don't really read or study that much in the night. They are mostly active in the day, and because they are active in the day doesn't mean that they are not serious. So know for yourself when you study more. If you prefer to study in the daytime, I'll just advise you stick to it. Although as a university student you need to learn how to adapt to studying in the morning, studying in the afternoon, studying in the night, because there are many circumstances or many cases that will just come up in the school that you will not even have time in the night, that you will not have time in the day, that you will not even have time in the evening. So just make sure that you try to balance this for yourself as a student. And how I am able to study in the morning, I can study in the night, I can study in the afternoon without sleeping, is by knowing my most productive hours, like my best time to study. I know the best time to study. At the end of the video, I'll also show you the best time or the most productive hours for you to study, so that it will prevent sleep and also give you 100% of retention. And if you're already getting content from the video, why not like the video as an appreciation? And also don't forget to turn on your notification icon and also subscribe, so that you don't miss out on any of my updates or my video updates like this. Also, to be able to study for longer hours without sleeping, you need to know the relationship between food and sleep. I don't know whether I am the only one. After eating I feel sleepy. Am I the only one that maybe after taking a heavy meal or after eating and you are trying to study, you just find yourself about to doze off? Or maybe even in a casual day, you find yourself after eating, you just feel sleepy or sluggish or just lazy. I want you to know that it is perfectly normal, and if you are this type of person, I will explain what happens and why we feel sluggish after eating or taking a heavy meal. After eating a meal, especially a meal that have much sugar or high carbohydrate content, you will notice an effect called the postprandial somnolence, or you can easily call it food coma. And this food coma sets in immediately after eating, or maybe some minutes after you are done eating, and it could last for some hours to 2 hours or even 3 hours, depending on the factors. There are many factors that can cause the food coma, and one of the major factors that affect or causes the food coma is after you are done eating, your brain biologically will channel a large percentage of blood to your digestive system away from the brain. And you know, the brain requires much of blood and it requires much of oxygen. So when you are done eating, because your body is now focused on digesting that particular meal, so it will now focus or take more large amount of blood to your digestive system. So when it sends it to your digestive system, so that it can help to increase the metabolic processes there, so that your digestion can be very fast as possible. So when this happens, your brain is deprived of enough oxygen. So when your brain is deprived of enough oxygen as usual, you feel sluggishness and you feel like sleeping, and it's just like a coma, but it's not really like a coma, just like a mini coma, just tiredness. You just feel tiredness because you're not getting enough oxygen to your brain, and it's just biological, it's normal. Another factor that contributes to this is high carbohydrate intake. I don't know whether you've asked yourself or even wondered why you always feel sleepy after taking pap or custard. I don't know, like is maybe it's universal. People always feel sleepy after they are taking custard or pap, and one of the reasons why custard is like a sleep stimulant to many people is because it has high carbon and high sugar content. And when you taking those stuffs, remember before taking pap, some of you even add sugar or milk or whatever, chocolate, so it increases the sugar level of pap. So after taking the pap, which is now rich in sugar content, what will now happen is that your blood sugar level rises and it spikes very high. And when it spikes that high, what your body is going to do is to release insulin. If you're a biology student, you will understand, but if you don't understand, just stick with me. So it will just, your body will stimulate the release of insulin, and the function of the insulin is to reduce the amount of sugar in your blood so that it will take it to the normal level of your blood. So what will happen is that the insulin will make cells to absorb more of the glucose or the sugar in your blood, and when they absorb this sugar from your blood sugar level will drop very fast to the normal state. So this sudden spike up in your blood sugar level and the sudden spike down in your blood sugar level to the normal state will cause you to feel sleepy or tired. So now imagine when you consume a large amount of beans and pap or custard. Obviously you will sleep, because you're not going to tell me that you want to study after taking that kind of heavy meal. And also try and know and reduce your consumption of carbonated drinks, because some of these carbonated drinks induces sleep. Because as we know, just a bottle of a carbonated drink, let me say Coke or Fanta or wherever, they have like 7 cubes of sugar for each bottle. So imagine when you drink like 2 bottles of Coca-Cola or Fanta or Pepsi or wherever, you are literally consuming 14 cubes of sugar. So this will immediately cause a spike in your blood sugar level, and it also decrease and those stuffs, and you feel tired. So my advice for you now is for you to know the type of food you take during study so that you can maximize your hours of study. I will also advise that you try your best to take your food like 30 minutes or even 1 hour or 2 hours before you start studying. You cannot tell me that you are studying and you are trying to finish a bowl of eba. Like, how are you serious? Like, what do you mean by that? Like, you want to finish a bowl of eba? I don't know, some of you guys are superheroes that you can finish a bowl of eba and still be able to actively study. I drop cap for you guys. But if you are my type of person that is trying to fight sleep during study, I'll advise that you try your best to eat less food. Even divide your food into half and take less of food. Or sometimes I even like to go on fasting. Like, I don't like eating some hours to my study time, because in this way I am mostly active. And also try to eat at least 30 minutes, as I said earlier, or 1 hour or 2 hours before your study time, so that digestion can take place and maybe you can rest after eating, so that when you now finish resting, you are now very much active. And if you're the type of person that likes maybe taking something, your mouth cannot stay at a place during study, I will just say, I'll advise what I use. What I use is mainly water. I'm an advocate of water. So guys, take water. And if you need something to chew, or you need something to chew during study, I'll maybe get nuts. You can get peanuts, granules, or whatever snack, but make it light, guys. Make it light. Even if you don't have any option that it is only eba you want to take, just maybe take half or take quarter of it, maybe 30 minutes before study, so that you are very much active. If you're really serious about studying and taking your study to the next level, I will also advise that you keep water handy. Like, keep it at your side, make it your friend. And when I mean water, I don't mean that you should get a bucket of water and maybe fill it with water and then put your leg inside and maybe sit inside. I don't advocate for that, because I've seen people that will always do that, but they're always sleeping inside that bucket of water that they think maybe could keep them awake. So make sure that water is in hand, so that you can easily take water to get you hydrated, because the brain needs water even more than every other part of the body. The brain needs water, it needs to get hydrated. Dehydration can cause you sleep, dehydration can cause you loss of memory and stuff like that. So always keep yourself hydrated during study. And one of the advantages of taking water during study is that you can easily stand up to go and pee. And when you use your bathroom or your restroom frequently, you find out that you are always active. Even for me, sometimes if I'm trying to study, or maybe I want to go for a night class, or that I don't really go for night classes, what I usually do to keep myself active is to maybe get half bag of sachet water, and I'll keep it by my side, and I always take it maybe after 1 hour I'll take, and I always use the restroom. I always go to ease myself, and in that way I'm mostly active throughout the night. Even if I mistakenly doze off, that sensation of urine will always wake me up, and I'll wake up, ease, continue from where I stopped. I also know that some of you will be saying that coffee or this caffeinated product is the way to go, that you need coffee to be awake. I don't blame you, and I won't criticize you, because for me it doesn't work for me. I will say it categorically, it doesn't work for me. And in the long term, as a student, it could be disadvantageous to you, because if you solely depend on coffee or cola nut to study or to keep yourself awake, what if there is no more coffee, or maybe something just happens and you don't find a place to buy coffee that day? That means you're going to sleep throughout the night. So don't get yourself addicted to these products. I'll always advocate that you stick to the natural ways of avoiding sleep. And also, if you're not the type of person that coffee works for, don't worry, you are my type of person. It doesn't work for me, although it can work. Maybe it works maybe a night or maybe 2 nighs, it doesn't work again. In fact, after that 2 nights that I've taken it and I'm trying to take it the 3rd night, it just becomes like a sleeping pill to me. So if I take the cold coffee or even the hot coffee, after some minutes I'll just fall asleep. So if it doesn't work for you, don't bother, just use the ones I've been sharing so far. I know that some of you would say that they prefer using music to study, that it keeps them awake, but I don't really understand how music works for people, because if you're listening to music, you're also paying attention to the lyrics, and when you're paying attention to the lyrics, you are not completely focused on what you are studying. For me, music doesn't do the work for me, and it doesn't keep me that much awake. Even if it keeps me awake, I can't really focus on what I'm studying, because personally I'm a music freak and I just love music. I can listen to music for like 24 hours a day without doing anything. So I'm that kind of person that likes to give my focus or my attention to things. I don't like dividing my attention while I am doing something. So if I'm listening to music, let it be music. I know some of you will also say that there are some music you can use to study that doesn't have background, that doesn't have lyrics, that they are just background songs. I don't criticize you, but for me it doesn't still work for me. When I listen to those music, I still feel headache, and I can't really focus 100% of my attention on that, on what I'm studying. So I just avoid music totally, because what's the essence of studying without your full attention? For me, it is better for me to study 1 hour fully focused on what I'm studying than studying for 4 hours or even 5 hours without fully focusing, with a divided attention. So if you're trying to use music, also think again about it. Some others will also say that they prefer using chewing gums to study. For me, I don't like using chewing gums to study, although it can keep some awake. If it works for you, use it, try it out and check whether it works for you. But for me, it doesn't work, because when I use chewing gums, I'm not that like focused, like focus 100% of my attention. I don't really give my 100% of my attention to what I am studying. So I prefer not to use any of those chewing gums. Sometimes I can even get headaches for just chewing gums for like 5 hours. So I just try to avoid every distraction I might encounter during study, no matter how minimal it is, so that I can give my 100% attention to what I'm studying. Because if you are studying for long hours, or you want to study for long hours, or you are awake for long hours, and you're not giving your full attention to what you are studying, and maybe you use 1 hour to study and then use 6 hours to press your phone or maybe listen to music, and then you convince yourself that you study for 6 hours, you are wasting your time. Like, it's not it doesn't make sense. It is better for you to just use that 1 hour and study, and maybe use that 5 hours to go and sleep. The last but not the least factor that you should pay attention to while studying, so that you can study for long hours without sleeping, is the stress factor. I understand that many students in the university are stressed because of lectures, practicals and stuff. I understand. I'm in your shoes and I get the stress factor, because when you are back from your lectures, you don't feel like doing anything. Even if you open your books to study, you will find yourself dozing off, waking up, little sleep, little slumber. So I would just advise that if you feel so stressed out after you are back from your lectures and you feel obliged to study, also make sure that you sleep at least maybe 1 hour or 30 minutes before study, because it will help refresh your brain and also regain your energy level that you've lost in the day. Don't play with rest. Try your best to rest if you are stressed out during study, because you can easily doze off. If you are stressed, your body will release some hormones or some chemicals in your body that will try to induce sleep in your body, so that you can rest and regain energy. Your body won't function at the best level it should. And also, as a bonus to you, while studying, try to stretch yourself and walk around during study. Maybe after 1 hour, try to stand up, walk around the place you are studying, and just look around, then come back to study, instead of just staying maybe at a position you are like this, studying a material for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Trust me, you could easily doze off. So make sure that you try your best to walk around during studies. Also, remember that I promised you guys that I will show you the best time for you to study, and how you can also learn how to study in the day, in the night, and whatever time that you want to study, and also be productive and not getting tired. Because as a student in the university, you need to be able to adapt to all these time frames: morning, afternoon, night. So join me in this video as I discuss the best time to study, which also help you to balance out all the time if you are an aspirant or you are already an undergraduate. Thanks for watching.